to me, there's also almost something mysterious to noticing and paying attention and sort of knowing that the movement is needed now. Even that seems to be a nudge that comes up from within me, as opposed to kind of a thinking through, okay, I'm getting stuck in this.
There's some very odd connection between clarity and circulation in your being, dare I say. If I were to say that, to use three categories that I'm using very generally, if you have emotion, action, thinking, then actually you need to maintain a circulation between all of those for each of them, because there's an issue where everything that is not in a relation ends up in a rational impasse, which is where it gets trapped at a certain impasse. Like a problem with calculation is calculation that only has calculation to feed on eventually creates an impasse and it becomes self-effacing, it gets enclosed in itself, enclosure. Likewise, emotion, if it is left just to emotion, and it's emotion relating to emotion, it gets an enclosure and it gets in trouble. But likewise, if you have even the body that is just relating to itself, it also can become an enclosure where people are trapped in their body and they're not able to, say, escape those situations. So you have to have a certain circulation where when you're stuck in emotion, bringing in the body or bringing in calculation can be very good. When you're in calculation, you need to bring in emotion or bring in body. When you're just kind of putting your head down, going to work, not asking any questions, sort of moralizing, just going to work, right? You might need to think about it because maybe your boss is taking advantage of you and you're suppressing your emotions, and that's why your marriage is in trouble, right? So there's something where you have to always maintain a certain circulation between all of these things. If not, you're going to get entrapped in one of those areas. And what's very interesting is if you maintain that circulation, suddenly, oh, I have the idea. Oh, I get it. You actually feel yourself getting better mysteriously, or you suddenly come up with the idea, as opposed to when you say, I'm going to do 20,000 words every day and you sit. I don't advise that. I think it is actually extremely important to actually say, no, you don't set like, I'm going to write 20,000 words. You write until you feel like it's time to circulate, to ventilate, and then you get up and do something like action or blue collar or actually move the body or use emotion, right? I think very often the way we talk about dealing with problems is using the logic that the problem is in to use that logic to solve the problem, when actually that leads to enclosures versus circulations. And then what's very interesting is if you have a fitting amount of circulation between these three areas, emotion, action, thinking, which again, I'm just using very generally, then the probability of apprehension is higher. Your ability to have things come forth to you in a powerful way is much more there. And what your job is actually to condition your body to be a circulation. I associate energy with blood flow because what I'm talking about is energy needs to circulate just like blood needs to circulate, right? Like your health and your blood flow are pretty strongly tied together in the ability of blood to get to different parts of the body, right? Well, so I think it kind of is with energy. When you have circulation, you actually have a negentropic experience. And also, basically, if we follow notions like beauty, every single phenomenon in reality actually has the potential to unveil itself in a new way, to be experienced according to a higher quality. And the probability of that occurring is proportional to the degree you can maintain circulation in your being between those areas, right? So actually the point of thinking is to coordinate that circulation, and then you put yourself in the world before different things and with different people, and then the apprehension can occur because in your circulation, you actually make opening for the flow of the world, if you will, and the flow of others to actually reach you. And that then creates a negentropic system. That creates actually energy gaining. But the issue is that one of the reasons we don't like to do that is because it's unpredictable and we want to be able to predict and note the outcome. But ironically, the only outcome you can guarantee is entropy. So if you live your life needing guarantee and needing plans and needing to know how everything's going to work out, that necessitates an entropic outcome. Because the only way to get something negentropic is surprise and apprehension and something occurring that you don't see coming, right? Because that's precisely why it gives you energy. And also that energy comes with a feeling of hope, because if something unexpected can occur that makes you feel this way, well, then reality is such where this possibility is always latent. And so there's always hope. There's always the possibility of this thing coming forth in this kind of experience. So for me, there is something about maintaining a certain circulation. Like the health of one's emotions, the health of one's body, the health of one's rationality and mind is strongly tied to the degree one maintains a circulation of energy between all of those areas, which requires a profound attention of yourself. Like when Socrates says, know thyself, I think if we take that to mean pay attention to yourself, it's a much more useful concept, right? Because pay attention to what are you feeling right now? Are you feeling like you're fighting the paper in the essay right now? Do you feel like you're fighting it? Well, then get up and then leave it. You need to move. The circulation is getting blocked on this essay you're writing. So get up. You need to sense that and actually stop yourself from moralizing. No, I should finish this essay before I move to the next day. Well, you're just moralizing the impasse. You're just moralizing the loss of circulation. But if know thyself is pay attention to thyself, and obviously attention with McGilchrist and Vey and Illich is a big idea. Like attention is, for me, to speak of attention is strongly tied to attention of circulation. Like that is what it kind of means to know yourself, to pay attention to the circulation. That are you getting blocked? Are you getting stuck in a kind of loop that's killing your mental health and calculation? Because what ends up happening, exactly what you said, that leads to a lot of mental health problems because you're stuck in a kind of loop of calculation and you're not actually circulating. The problem is just because you're doing something does not mean you're circulating. Just because there's a voice in your head that won't turn off, that's not circulation. It's the appearance of movement, but you're actually not going anywhere. And one of the keys to attention is being able to tell the difference between, say, moving in place and circulation. Circulation, as we're describing it, is necessarily multi-dimensions, right? It can't be located in a single capacity like the mind, right? But you've got to be able to tell those differences. But then, of course, this would suggest that the prime role of thinking is actually to tell those nuanced differences according to awareness and attention, not just calculation. The feeling of it is actually being more present in your body. You feel more whole. You don't feel like you're trapped in your body, nor that you're trapped in your emotions, nor that you're trapped in your thinking. You have this feeling of actually being entire, actually. That tends to be a good sign of circulation in the way that we are being described. But it does seem to come down to the entire body as an antenna, as we talked about, to actually have these attentions.
There's this profound attention to oneself that you're talking about. My mind goes to how do we facilitate another person's attunement to this? How can we be helping to train that, either as a parent or adult to adult? Because we can easily see how this can become, as it often does, just another set of rules. Like, I read in a book that there are 3 things that I'm meant to be circulating between, and now in a mechanical way, I'm going to go through those and hold myself very rigidly to it and give myself a hard time when it's not working because I'm not doing it right, where it just becomes that again. Like you say, this kind of faux appearance. We're getting stuck in this idea that it's almost like having a coach in your head. You need to have a coach in there. You need to have this part of you that is sort of narrating and keeping you on track, your life coach in your head. They store all the knowledge about all the self-help books you've read and the things you should be doing. To me, there's also almost something mysterious to noticing and paying attention and sort of knowing that the movement is needed now. Even that seems to be a nudge that comes up from within me, as opposed to kind of a thinking through, okay, I'm getting stuck in this.